Hey everybody, and on today's vlog, we are going to be playing Spellcaster from R&R Games. Let's sling some spells. Hey Sarah, how's it going?
I'm well.
So, what are we playing today?
Today we are playing Spellcaster, a 2 to 4 player game from R&R Games. In it, we are rival spellcasters, and we are either trying to drain the life force of the opposing spellcaster or collect enough sapphires to win. Would you like me to tell you how it plays?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a card game where we are playing cards to different portions of the board, essentially here. And each of the different colors is representative of different types of cards. So for example, red are combat cards, and they will reduce your opponent's life force or energy. Yellow are healing cards, and they will let you heal your own. Blue are going to give you sapphires, and green are going to allow you to sort of alter the rules that are currently in play. So what happens is we each start the game with 3 spellcaster cards, and on your turn you're going to have 2 actions. 2 actions, and you can do the same action twice, or you can do 2 different actions. There are 3 possible things you could do. You can draw a card, you can play a card, or you can activate cards that are already been played. So always to start your turn, you get to just draw a card off the top of the deck, and then you are either going to draw a card or play a card or activate a card and perform those 2 actions on your turn. The game will end in one of 3 different ways. Either when you have drained the life force of your opponent, so when they have no yellow crystals left, or when one player has accumulated 15 of the sapphires, or when a player would need to draw a card and wouldn't be able to. If the game ends that way, whoever has the most sapphires wins. So what happens is, like I said, on your turn, you draw a card to start with, then you have 2 actions. You can draw another card, you can play a card, or you can activate things. When you play a card, you play the colored card to the colored, and you know what, as I'm looking at this, I'm realizing these are supposed to be like this. So you play a colored card facing you, and if there were any other cards already on that particular space, you would cover over them. Then, if possible, you would perform the action of that card, and then you would take your second action, and play would continue. So if, for example, this was, let's say the board looked maybe something like this, and on your turn, you had this card in your hand and you wanted to play it, you would play it over the top of the one that's already there. And then the orientation of the card itself indicates sort of like which player controls that card, and who gets the benefit for like having used it. So yeah, that is Spellcaster in a nutshell. There is a 3-player variant and a teams variant for 4 players, I believe. Yes. But yeah, so that's how it goes. Should we play it?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right.
All right. Toodles. Hey Sarah, how's it going?
I'm well.
So how'd the game go?
I lost.
Oof. How?
And fairly quickly too. So there are 3 different ways for the game to end. One is for an opponent to completely deplete your health, which is what Nick has done to me. One is for a player to get 15 or more sapphires, which I was really close to doing, but Nick killed me first. And then the third way, which seems pretty difficult to achieve, would be that we run out of cards and a player would need to draw a card but wouldn't be able to.
It seems like that might happen in more players, or if people kept playing over everything.
Yeah, maybe if there were more players, it would happen faster. Or like you said, maybe if we were playing over cards, because there's an interesting sort of function in the game, and it's that on your turn, if we're interpreting the rules correctly, and I believe that we are, on your turn, you always get to draw a card for free, but then you have 2 actions that you can perform. And one of them is sort of playing a card down, but then a second action is to actually make the card do the thing. And you can only do that with cards that are facing you. So if I wanted to, for example, let's say that I wanted to be able to play this card. For one action, I could play it, but it wouldn't actually do this here until I chose to sort of fire off the card. So I could play it for one action, and then for a second action, I could say, okay, now we're going to actually fire this card. So I gain 1 and you lose 1. But it would take both of my actions to be able to play that down and get it to fire. So there's this sort of interesting setup and then like holding pattern that you have to go through before your cards can actually sort of achieve what they're capable of. And I think it was a really interesting choice because it meant that you could set yourself up for some really, really good things, but your opponent had the opportunity to
kind of throw a wrench in the plan.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that was one of the areas in which this game really shone, because I feel like there were some things that could have been like really, really detrimental if I could have just like played the card down and then be like, bam, this happens, and it happens as soon as I play the card. Some of these cards are pretty rough, so being able to pull them off like as soon as you put it down, I think could be really, really brutal. So having to kind of set yourself up and then giving your opponent a chance to maybe steer the game in a different direction, I think is an interesting point to the game. What did you think of it?
Well, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the back and forth, the kind of like messing up each other's plans, but also that, if you play 2 cards down, there was a chance of like, oh, well, what do I want to go after? Or does my opponent even have the right card to play over that card? And then there were cards that allowed you to activate at the beginning of their turn. So it was like, okay, so there's a card that they don't even need to use one of their 2 precious actions on.
Yeah, we just kind of get to do it for free.
And so they get to do it for free. I think it was one of the blue cards.
Yeah, something like, let me see if I can find one real quick. Yeah, this one right here. So if this gear symbol here is showing at the beginning of your turn, you draw a card, just because you always get to draw a card at the start of your turn, and then any of this that's facing you automatically happens. You don't have to do anything to make it happen. So here, Nick would gain 2 of the sapphires, and I would gain 1. And then he would still have his 2 actions available to him for the turn. So yeah.
Yeah, it was nice. It was close because I at the end I got to use a card that let me use another card twice, and then I got to use
this one here.
But I gave you 2 of these other precious crystals. That was another way of victory.
Yeah.
But I think I calculated that you didn't have enough, even if I did that to you.
Yeah. So he was able to drain my life before I was able to get enough of the sapphires to win. I was really close. But with this card here and then being able to use it twice, he was able to deal me like 8 damage in one.
And it was just enough because it was really close.
I had 7 life left, and he dealt me 8 damage. So I do think that the game is well produced. The cards are like nice cardstock, thick cardstock, right? They're good. The crystals are nice. The cardboard things, they're completely unnecessary, but they're nice to have, and they're nice and thick. The only thing I would say that I think is a little subpar about the production is the art. And I do want to point out that the art on the box, in my opinion, is not particularly family friendly. However, that is not reflective of any of the art that is actually on the cards in the game. When I saw the box cover, I was kind of like, I don't know. I hope that like the artwork in the game isn't incredibly revealing like it is on the box. And it's not. Nothing in the actual cards is not family friendly in any way. It's all totally fine. There's a couple of torsos, but that's it.
Ooh, scandalous. But yeah, so the artwork isn't that bad when you get into the game, but the box, the cover is a little rough.
Yeah, it was a little disappointing to see, the female character portrayed in such a sexualized way. But I understand that that's an art choice. I wish that fewer games would make that choice.
Yeah.
There are some badass women, excuse my language, there are some badass women out there who can be represented in a respectful way without shedding any of their badassery, you know? So I feel like that was a little disappointing, just the box cover art. But like I said, that's not reflective of any of the art in the game at all. Everything else in the game is fairly family friendly. There's some kind of like gorish type stuff. It's not really gory, but like we're trying to kill each other, right? So like that may not be exactly what you want your kids to be doing, but that's also there are a lot of other games that are sort of in that vein too, and it doesn't really come through in the artwork here. Nothing is particularly gory or overtly sexualized or anything like that. So
Awesome. Well, that was our vlog on Spellcaster by R&R Games. We hope you all enjoyed it. And until next time, we'll see you all later. Toodles!